Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of It's Bailey. Today's episode is all about how I navigate my business differently and run my business differently and really co-create with God now that I came back to God, back to Jesus, and I've really been strengthened in my Christian faith. If you are watching this video on YouTube, make sure to go and follow me on Spotify. I'll link it somewhere below. Just because when I am feeling lazy, when I don't feel like recording, it is so easy for me to speak into my phone and upload to Spotify. So I will have a lot more episodes on there. I also have had my podcast for multiple years. I've only just started posting on YouTube. So there's so many episodes, in the business category, but also in the health category. Because also my business is where health, hormones, and business collide. So I really touch on both topics. Before we get started, March 3rd starts the start day of Get Paid, which is a 2-week long challenge where you will learn how to get paid directly from your Instagram or TikTok content. 99.9% of my clients come to me ready to work with me, ready to buy. They don't need convincing. They don't need months of conversation in the DMs. And this is because of my content. It's more than possible for you to build a multi-six-figure and $1 million business off of your content and not having to fish around and convince in sales calls and in the DMs. So I will put the link below to join Get Paid before March 3rd. So what my life looks like now as a Christian, I'm going to be looking at my notes that I took. One thing, I don't want to get into my whole background story. I do have one or two podcasts, I believe, on Spotify going kind of into how I came back to God and Christianity. And I also do have another podcast episode I made maybe a few months ago regarding kind of how I co-create with God in my business. But my faith, even in the last couple months, has developed so much. And I feel like God just really has a front seat in my business. And because of that, my business has never felt more peaceful, more secure, and more successful. So this is something that I know I need to share with my followers. And one thing I want to make clear, I feel like we always have to have so many disclaimers these days. I'm not going to give a ton. If this doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to watch it. But one thing I want to make clear is that my page and my working with me is for everyone. I have so many people who follow me who aren't Christians. I have so many clients that I work with who don't align with the same faith as I. So I don't need to think just maybe because you're not a Christian that you are not welcome here. You definitely are more than welcome here. Because I respect all my clients and their beliefs, and I just hope that you do the same for me. So the first thing in my business that really changed was just the ultimate trust that everything is going to work out and be okay. Now, when I was more in when I say spiritual era, I mean when I resonated more with the universe, when I was more into new age spirituality. I actually have a tattoo on my shoulder. This is the universe is in your favor, but I very much referred to God as the universe. And it was kind of this ambiguous, conscious universe, higher self, I'm kind of God, but also I'm not. It was very an ambiguous concept that I personally believed in. It was a lot more isolating. It felt like kind of everything was up to me and up to me alone, which some people could maybe view as being empowering, which maybe it was that sometimes, but I felt like it was more isolating. In order to scale to 10K months, in order to go full time in my business, and even in aspects outside of business, it's only up to me to manifest that and make it happen. And ultimately in your life, you have free will and it is up to you to do a lot of things. But one massive thing that changed now, kind of coming back to the Christian faith, is it's not only up to me. Yes, it's up to me, but it's also up to God, who's my providing father. And he can get so much done. There's this phrase I heard the other day that God can do more in one breath. God can move mountains than you could, over hustle for years doing. God truly can help make miracles happen in your life. And knowing that I'm not alone in my business and, in life in general, but in my business, I have a coworker, aka God in my business, and I know that the steps that I'm taking, they're written by God, and they will always succeed. They're not going to fail. And that has brought me so much trust and so much peace in my business. I can't even describe it to you. Something too, a few weeks ago, and this will all make sense, but a few weeks ago, so I can get some driving anxiety. If you watched my vlog of moving from Wisconsin to South Carolina, I talked a little bit about that. I can get some more OCD thoughts that my car's gonna break down, even if my car's perfectly fine. and can get really anxious about my car. And my boyfriend, he made such a good point to me. He was like, Bailey, like, if you truly believe in God, like, if you truly believe, like, God's got you and that he will answer your prayers, like, don't you believe that, like, he's, like, you will be protected in your car if it was to break down or if it was not to break down? Like, don't you think that, like, he's got you? Like, if you truly believe God answers your prayers and is there for you, why are you sitting and being so anxious about all these car issues? And that really lit off a light bulb in my head with the car issues, but also in business, that if I truly believe in God, which I do, and I truly believe like in the power of prayer and that God answers our prayers, then why do I sit and obsess about X, Y, and Z in my business? And that was a huge light bulb that went off of just having this, I have the tattoo in my arm, faith, having this just giant sense of faith that like I am taken care of, I am good, and I don't need to worry about any aspect of my business or life because no matter what happens, if it feels like I'm going through a slow season or if things are going really great, like I know that I'm covered and everything's happening for a reason and I'm not alone in that. And that has been the biggest sense of relief in my business. In my business, the next thing that I do that I used to never do is that I use the Bible as a guide. Now, before I came back to God, I had a lot of judgments about the Bible and about Christianity. Yet I went to confirmation and Sunday school when I was younger, but I truly never picked up the Bible and studied it for myself. And I used to always think like, oh, that'd be so boring, it's so big. But when I tell you the amount of promises that are in here and the amount of not even clues because it's straightforward. The amount of like straightforward advice that you can apply obviously to all areas of life, but this is about business, to your business is insane. No matter what you're going through. If that's like you need some guidance in not being lazy, in being motivated. You need some guidance on resting, on finding peace. You need some guidance of how to handle like certain difficult people maybe you run into in your business, or you need guidance of how to handle your finances and trusting that God will always provide for you financially. Like those promises and like guidelines are in this book. And that like I come back to this every single day. And I encourage you, like, pick up a Bible. I went to Half Price Books. I got a Bible when I was first kind of dabbling, back into my faith. And I had no idea what I was doing. I watched so many podcasts. Like, ones I like is Christ with Coffee on Ice, Girls Gone Bible. But even just talking to some of my Christian friends. There's also the George something podcast that I really like, which kind of helped me to open up my Bible more because a lot of times I'll refer to Bible verses. But just even getting a Bible and Googling, like, Bible verse on finding peace in a time of chaos, Bible verse and always being provided for, Bible verse and always being provided for financially. Like there are so many clues. Again, why do I keep using the word clues? There are so many promises from God to us that are so applicable to your business, and it has been beyond helpful. The next thing that I do in my business on a daily basis, it's part of my morning routine, is a devotional. Now, my friend Priscilla, shout out, she sent me this one. This one's so good. And this one's super applicable to entrepreneurs. There are a few others that I've read that I really like, but are kind of, I mean, obviously you can apply everything to business, but like this one specifically is super, like you can relate each day to, what you're going through business wise. So this is called 100 Days of Believing Bigger by Marshawn Evans Daniels. And I believe she is actually, if I go to the back of the book, she is a coach who helps women in the areas of faith and business. So that's exactly what I thought. So this is really good. I do one every single morning. I actually have a whole series on my TikTok kind of diving into it's a devotional a day, makes your business a sleigh. So make sure to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, and then you can also be a part of that series. But devotionals like really help me root into the day. This one specifically too has like journaling prompts where you can read the devotional. I'll journal prompt on other areas of my life, but also what's kind of going in my business at the time. And that's something else that I do to just really start off my day in business on a really good foot and rooted in faith. The next thing that I do in my business, it is by far the thing I do the most, and that is, of course, prayer. And praying not only for the obvious, like, God sends me a line of clients, God provides for me financially, but also praying for my clients. Praying for, let's say I'm going through a season where I'm being kind of lazy, like praying for a more determined heart. Or let's say I'm going through a season where, I don't know, I'm lacking faith, like praying to build my faith inside myself. So praying, I mean, that's an obvious, but I pray all throughout the day. I'll pray in the morning, the middle of the day, nighttime, kind of like I'm just talking to my best friend for my clients, over my business. But I really like praying for certain opportunities, for certain clients to stumble upon you, for someone super aligned to find you and feel so called to buy that day, praying to reach and help the masses, thousands of people, having your videos being seen by millions of people. That has, like, I've never prayed a prayer that has not been answered in that department. It may not always come at my specific timing, will come at God's timing, but the power of prayer, so good. The next thing that's different with living my life and my business as a Christian is that I'm just looking back at my notes, but I wrote down getting my hopes up, which might seem kind of weird, but I used to have a lot of what I would call doomsday thinking. So that could be like worst case scenario or just like not getting my hopes up. Like I just kind of learned like not to get my hopes up. But I feel like with my relationship with God, like I can get my hopes up because I know God will always deliver. If it's next week, if it's next year, like I think living your life, like getting your hopes up, aka just like expecting the best or better to happen, has just improved my happiness and joy and excitement on a day-to-day basis than living in the kind of like, you know, neutral or worst case scenario or just like not getting your hopes up. So that's the next thing. It's kind of more of like a mindset shift. And then another huge thing is surrender. Now, when I was more spiritual, people would always say like surrender to the universe, and it's kind of the same concept, but it just makes more sense to me now. In the Bible, a common theme is to not lean on your own understanding because God's plan, even if you don't understand it at the time, like he wants the best for you and his plan is going to be better than anything that your human mind can truly think of. And this could be in anything. Like let's say you launch an offer and you don't get a ton of bites or sales in the first month. Like don't lean on your own understanding. Like leaning on your own understanding would be like this offer sucks even though like I really initially loved it. I'm going to get rid of this offer and sell something totally different because that offer must suck. That's leaning on your own understanding. And you can apply that with anything, you know, regarding business, but really just comes back to trust every time. Trusting God's plan has really helped me to be able to surrender because I know no matter what's going on around me, if I'm doing just what I feel called to do. So I both my businesses, like showing up to help women with their hormones, with their business, I'm creating content that feels super aligned. I'm selling my offers. I'm really trying to, you know, be seen so I can help hundreds and thousands and millions of people, because I've had millions of people, you know, consume my content. If I'm just doing what I'm doing, like I'm doing my purpose, my passion, God will always come through. Like I don't need to sit and try to control all these things of like what I used to always do was like I would write down in my journal like today I'm going to make 5 sales happen, and if that didn't happen I would beat myself up about it and think I was a bad business owner. Like that'd be me not surrendering. That'd be me trying to like control every little aspect about my business. And I really just release control, which I know is so easier said than done. This doesn't mean a big misconception. I'm just gonna, because I know that I'm sure there's some people who are thinking this, and this the only reason you're thinking this is by people who like misconstrue the Bible and bad religious people per se. But like making money is not the root of all evil. Money is not evil. Making money is not bad. What is bad is having money being your only goal and only focus and obsessing about money. And I would argue when you have more money, you obsess about money less because you are like, you're not having to obsess about making sales. So putting that out there, obviously money, I do not align with that belief. Like money is not the root of all evil. I'm here to help women make life-changing money, I call it. So money that changes your life by changing other people's lives. So mixing surrendering with my money goals is another huge thing that is shifted in my business. So when I set financial goals, so for example, I'm doing a 40 days of impossible prayer challenge. And one of those prayers is to make 40K in 40 days. It's specifically a challenge to stretch the capacity of what you believe is possible for you and to truly lean on and trust God to help you make it happen. That being said, me in the past, I would have set that goal. I would have thought it's all up to me. I would sit and probably write down 50, 100 affirmations a day. It's only up to me. It'd be super, super stressful. And if I didn't hit it, I would make it think I was a failure. There was something wrong with me. I must have manifested wrong. I must have been super low vibe and some chakra must have been blocked. And that's like, it would have been like a very like stressful, there's something wrong with me, this isn't right kind of energy. Versus now, like I set those big financial goals. If I was to not hit it, whatever, because I know God's plan, like I don't see the big picture right now. So if I don't make 40K in 40 days, like maybe I couldn't hold that right now. Maybe like a month around the corner, I'm gonna be so financially blessed. Maybe some of those clients would have been like really rotten egg clients. So I really don't question the process. I trust the process and I trust God will always show up for me, even if it's not in my specific timing that I'm wanting it to happen. So it always comes back to that deep sense of like peace and trust and knowing that everything is always going to work out. I don't need to sit and micromanage. I don't need to sit and obsess about things. It's not only up to me. Like I have a whole giant king spiritual provider literally helping me on a day-to-day basis, and it is so freeing. There are so many more things I could talk about in this podcast episode, but I wanted to keep this episode short and sweet today so that you could just learn some of these habits that I do, and if they feel aligned, implement them into your own life. What I will leave with you is that God cannot bless the actions that you do not take. Those who are consistent and take messy action and do the same thing over and over and over and over again. They're posting day after day after day. They're selling day after day after day, working on their messaging day after day after day. Those who put in the reps, those are who are consistent. They take messy action. Those are the like there's a bird outside screaming. Those are the actions that are going to be blessed in your business. If you don't take those actions, there's nothing for God to bless. Like, do you get what I mean? So God cannot bless the actions you do not take. So go and take all the aligned actions this week, and I will talk to you soon.